All right, don't mess up, don't mess up. Don't mess up. Yes! I love that. Still a work in progress, but I think it sounds pretty damn cool so far, so I'm pretty stoked on it. Welcome everyone to Weekly What's New, episode number 8. So jumping right into the topics for this week, as you can see from this angle back here, these wonderful new studio monitors that I finally upgraded here. So I've been using the same little old piece of crap M Audio studio monitors for probably like 15 to 20 years. It's just never been something that this is just such a small thing that I've done really up until this point that I never really felt the need to spend more and get something fancier with a better frequency response and all of that. But lately I figured, you know, I'm not doing myself any favors by using these wicked old, really cheap, inexpensive, crappy little, you know, speakers for doing a lot of this mixing and stuff that I've been writing lately. So I figured it was probably time, and a deal popped up in Amazon with like Prime 1-day shipping on these JBL, what are these things, 308p Mark II. And you know, they're not the most expensive things out there, but there was a deal, Prime 1-day shipping. I went ahead and pulled the trigger, and so far I've been blown away. You know, they've got a really good frequency response, really clear lows, detailed mids. You've got the highs. It's a really good frequency response, and they sound fantastic. Feel like I've already improved some of the mixes that I've been doing. So what I'm curious about is that audio you just heard. How did that sound to you? Because that was really the first thing that I started mixing when I set up these speakers. So I'm very curious. How did that sound to y'all? Hit me in the comments and let me know there. So moving on to the next topic is the Stl AmpHub December update, which brings with it the EVH 5153, and this thing absolutely rips. You just heard it in the audio sample that I just played, and we'll go ahead and I'll just solo some of these guitars in that here, and you can hear for yourself just how ridiculously awesome this thing sounds. So I'm just gonna, this is quad track guitars, but just for the sake of time here, I'm just gonna solo these two, and you can hear what this thing sounds like. Absolutely sick. I mean, this thing is just amazing. And there's a couple, I am playing this on the 7, though a lot of it, this Solar 7 string, though a lot of it is, you know, up higher. I do drop down, it's tuned to G, so there are a couple lower chugs in here that I'll show you, just so you can hear those lower notes and how this thing just it retains the bite, the cut, the detail, even in those lower chugs. So check this out. Yeah, it's amazing. The other thing I want to point out here is I am pairing this with a Jens Bogren IR from his Rhythm IR pack. I've recently fallen in love with this thing. These IRs are amazing, and honestly, my favorite one is the very first one in the pack, the Bald and Beautiful EQ1. So I've been putting this on everything lately, and it just sounds so sick when paired with this EVH 5153. So if you've got AmpHub and you've got the Jens Bogren IR pack, you've got this tone. So you know, I'll show you the settings here. So this is just simply the STL overdrive green here, drive all the way down, balance all the way up, tone almost all the way up. Going into the red channel, you can see we've got the gain, I don't know, maybe just a little above 10 o'clock. The lows in between 9 and 10 o'clock, mids right around maybe 11 o'clock, maybe just a little bit up from that. Highs at about 1, volume straight up the middle, and then the presence at maybe like 1 o'clock. There it is. And then going into the like I said, the Jens Bogren Bald and Beautiful EQ1 IR, and that's the tone you get. Here it is again. Absolutely bites. I love it. Sounds killer. So that is the second topic, is the STL AmpHub December update with the EVH 5153. Check. Moving on. The bass tone that you heard in this audio sample is something that I have been trying to craft myself. I've just been trying to venture out and just kind of see what I can create. And a lot of this is like using the built-in stock plugins and things that I have access to, like some of the Slate Digital plugins. So what I came up with is I'll solo it here, and then I'll break it down and walk through each step of what's happening, and kind of I'll undo all of the entire signal chain, all the plugins, so you can hear the raw bass tone from the Gin bass, and then I'll turn things on step by step. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna just run through the entire signal chain for this bass tone, just so you can see and I get an idea of like how I put this together. And I'm gonna do this real quick so we don't take too long. So first thing up is that this is a DI output from Submission Audio's Gin bass. So I have nothing on, it's just using the DI output. That is going into the Logic Pro pedal board, which is going into right here, the grit pedal, and you can see the settings I have here. And this is obviously adding that grit, right, the distortion. So I'm going to turn this on, and I'm also going to note that I do have a gain reduction here as the very last step, because this signal is insanely hot. I had to pull it back like 11 dB. Otherwise my fader in Logic Pro was going to be like all the way down in the gutter. And so I had to pull back this signal. So I'm going to turn that on so I don't blow out your eardrums. So here we go. This is what it sounds like with the DI output from Gin bass into the pedal board. Okay, you get the idea. You've got some distortion going on now. However, it just sounds like a bass with distortion. Like we're not going through an amp. We're not going through an impulse response, right? So now let's turn on the Logic Pro Bass Amp Designer, which is using our modern amp, the classic 8x10 cabinet, and this is what it sounds like now. Okay, now we're getting a bass tone. Then the very last step here, that's really providing updates to crafting the tone, is the Slate Digital virtual mix rack with this FGN, which is basically modeled after a Neve. So like this is a Neve emulation EQ happening here, going into this FG401, a VCA style compressor. And then we are going into what's essentially like an SSL 4000E console EQ emulation here. And so this I will turn on, and you can see what the final mix is. Actually, I should point out, there is one other tiny thing. As I said, turn this on. This is just a notch out at 2,460 hertz that was doing this like whistly ringing, and I couldn't stand it, so I had to notch that out. So here's the entire tone again. that's it. That's how I put together that custom tone. And I'll play this little section here again in the full mix so you can hear it in context again. There you go. That is the bass tone I put together. Let me know in the comments how that sounded for you on your end. Again, I'm still trying to get used to these studio monitors, but to me it sounds absolutely awesome. So I'd love to hear how it sounds on your end. Moving on, blast beats is the next topic. As you heard in the beginning of this audio sample, this as a blast beat. Here it is again. All right, so figured since I was programming basically my first blast beat that I've really attempted to program, I figured let me go ahead and just make this week's quick tip. So the quick tip of this week is going to be on programming blast beats. This is kind of my first attempt to program blasts. You know, I've watched a lot of videos on programming blasts. I know you got to really pull back the velocities because an actual drummer can't hit with a full velocity when they're playing that fast, right? So you got to pull back the velocities, and then so like in GGD Invasion, you also have additional articulations you can play with, as I've mentioned in previous videos, with the kick drum, right? So you can alternate between two different notes here. And it essentially mimics having two different kicks, which gives you a more realistic sound to it. So here's an example of that. So it's very subtle, but you can hear there's a slight difference between those, as if you were sitting in front of two different kick drums. So that's the way I program this, and I've got some cymbal action going on here and some snare, so like you're alternating between the cymbal and the snare, kind of like doing 16th notes, and then 8th notes on the kick, right? So just kind of like driving those 8th notes, and that's essentially what I've got. Let me solo this here for you, and you can see what I've programmed. And I've kind of played with the velocity, so we got ranges of like 42, 47, 49, 50. So it's kind of it's dancing around, right? So just to try and change up those velocities. So that is how I programmed the blast for this. If you have experience programming blast beats, again, hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think of how I put this together. I'm going to continue tweaking this, and this is not going to be the last blast beat that I write because I'm really on this kick right now of blast beats. I've been listening to a lot of Soilwork. And a lot of their stuff, their drummer is absolutely phenomenal, and does all kinds of blast beats. And so really been digging the blast lately and figured I'd throw something together with a blast in it. This is what I've got. So that is how I put together the blast beat. And really the last topic that I had here that I wanted to go over is the new Spiritbox track that dropped. I don't believe it was last week, maybe the week before, but it's been what, a couple weeks since I've done a weekly What's New anyways. So it's new since my last video, put it that way. And this Spiritbox track is phenomenal. It is absolutely just it's a beautiful track, and the video is equally as beautiful. And if you have not seen it, I would highly recommend you go watch it. It is a tearjerker. It's going to make you feel those emotions, and but it's absolutely beautiful. It has a great meaning and a great message behind it. Again, just, it hit me in all the feels, right? And so I figured something that powerful, if you got the chance, you should definitely go check it out, because it's an amazing song. But yeah, I mean, that's basically all I wanted to say about the Spiritbox track. It's a beautiful track. It's you should definitely not miss it. Go check out the video. It's amazing. I think you'll dig it. All right, so that is gonna wrap up this weekly What's New, everyone. We'll go ahead and call it right there. As always, if you made it this far into the video, I thoroughly appreciate you sticking around and watching this. You know, hit me in the comments and let me know what what you're thinking of this content. What can I do to improve? Always looking for feedback. But if you stuck around this long, maybe you're digging this. If you're not subscribed, that button's right down below. Smash that and the like button and hit share. I would thoroughly appreciate that. Again, hit me in the comments if you have any thoughts, or if you just want to chat about anything I went over here. Any questions about anything, about the bass tone, the EVH 5153 or GGD Invasion, whatever it may be, hit me up. I'd love to chat with you all about it. As always, I'm going to plug the Discord server. It's called The Studio. There's all kinds of cool folks in there. We're always talking about mixing and plugins and all kinds of stuff. So the link to that is in the description of this video. Hit that and come join us. And as always, thank you for watching and thank you for your support.